pretty scary report came out. It's a draft report of the National Climate Assessment's kind of breakdown of the climate change reality that's gonna be released in 2023, but like I said, a draft report has been revealed that is not good going forward. That does not show us what we'd want to see, as I'm sure y'all could expect, in regard to climate change. And obviously, we have not taken the proper steps to at all address this very serious problem, because there are a lot of people, especially we watch every day, the Republican Party, who still won't even accept this as a problem that should be addressed. So how are we going to come up with solutions to a complicated problem if some people don't even recognize the problem exists or don't recognize it's a serious problem? Now, we'll look at this in a second. A little bit of credit, because the Biden administration did push and the Democratic Party did pass the Inflation Reduction Act, which does include the largest investment in the climate change response in the history of the United States. And that's good. It's still not enough because of what is outlined here. The effects of climate change, reading from the New York Times, are already, quote, far-reaching and worsening throughout all regions in the United States, posing profound risks to virtually every aspect of society. Whether it's drinking water supplies in the Midwest or small businesses in the Southeast, according to a draft scientific report being circulated by the federal government, will continue on. But it's so sad whenever you cover things like this, when you do a political show, because I can tell y'all, this video will get profoundly less views than many of my others. And I bet you this piece by the New York Times got read by profoundly less people than many of their others. But this has to do with the future of our planet and the ability for millions of people to live any sort of life that is dignified. And some basic aspects of our day-to-day lives will be devastated because of what is here, and a lot of people still don't care about it. The draft of the National Climate Assessment, the government's premier contribution to climate knowledge, provides the most detailed look at the consequences of global warming for the United States, both in the present and in the future. The final report isn't scheduled to be published until late 2023, but the three federal agencies and hundreds of scientists who are compiling the assessment issued a 1,695-page draft for public comment on Monday. Quote, "The things Americans value most are at risk," says the draft report, which could still undergo changes as it goes through the review process. Quote, "More intense extreme events and long-term climate changes make it harder to maintain safe homes and healthy families, reliable public services, a sustainable economy, thriving ecosystems, and strong communities," as I'm sure many in my audience are aware of. But it's a scary moment because and you can read, we'll put that New York Times article in the description. You can also read the original draft as well and get into more of the specifics. But for the purpose of this, for so long, I feel like all of the discussion about climate change and its effect felt so far in the future. By 2040 blank, this is going to happen. Or in the next 3 decades, this is going to happen. But we're already seeing the effects now. And it's kind of, all right, it's too late. Everything we've worried about, it's too late for us to stop it. Now we got to act now to prevent it from being X, Y, or Z bad, right? Because it's going to be bad, and we got to figure out a way to make it less bad. And I think when hopefully future generations exist, hopefully when a more progressive government gets in power and acts correctly and influences the rest of the world to do so, we'll set up a situation where future generations will read in history books about the great failure of these generations to act in any significant way on this very important issue. And we'll be blamed and we'll be resented, I'm sure, by those future generations, as I feel mine is already doing towards past ones, for the inability, or at least the decision that was made collectively not to properly act on the issue of climate change. Because it's affecting people's lives in a very real way. And of course, as always, and this is probably why, or definitely why it wasn't properly acted on, is because the wealthy, the well-connected, the powerful aren't going to be affected by this like the average person on the planet. Those lower down on the economic ladder will feel the effects of this way more significantly, and sometimes to the point of it ending their ability to live in the area they are in, either causing mass migration to be necessary or death. But those at the top who have so much power in our political systems won't, and that's why there hasn't been urgency on this like there should. Someone can go buy a new house, they can get access to to clean drinking water and get all the necessary resources to be fine through these effects. But those at the bottom, or even just the average person economically, won't have that luxury and will be affected by this in such a more significant manner. And our political leaders have just failed. They failed. Now, it doesn't mean we can't start succeeding now, and that's why I'm so passionate about politics, this as one of the many issues, and I try to encourage people in my audience to be as well, because this matters. This is not, oh, fun, doing our thing, talking about this obscure topic. This matters and affects people in a real way, their lives. It's funny, I've talked to so many people in kind of my age bracket, and I'll ask them, so what are your kind of stances on these different political issues? And so often I get the response, I'm not really into politics. Not really into politics. And the way it's said to me is as if I asked them, hey, did you see the, football game last night? I'm not into football. I'm not a sports person. But this matters so much. This is the future of not just our country, the world, humanity. And people talk about the subject of politics that would be the one needed to be used to fix this problem as if it's just, whatever. And it really scares me. So hopefully more people will get active, because honestly, y'all, that is the only way this problem that is being outlined by this draft that was released, the only way that's addressed is through our political process in a significant manner, enough to actually curb the devastating effects of it. So hopefully some sort of change in the next decade or something makes this image a little less scary. Thank you so much for watching. If you want to be a part of what makes this show possible, plus get access to the full video version of the show hours before any of the clips are uploaded to YouTube, plus get access to an extra full show every Saturday that only members can see, you can do so by going to patreon.com/Luke Beasley. That's patreon.com/Luke Beasley, and there is a link in the description.